All right, welcome back to another quick episode of Terrible Math with Mr. Williams. We are going to be talking about subtracting decimals today. Very easy. Like I said, it's a review from before. We should have no problems doing it. Your objective is, as a student, you should be able to accurately subtract decimals. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. If the computer works, which it might. There we go. Okay. First of all, you need graphic organizer number 1, side 2. Remember, you did adding decimals on the other side. This is the back side. Remember, your goal is that you should be able to accurately subtract decimal numbers. You need side 2. Make sure you complete this whole graphic organizer. All right, your steps. Steps to adding decimals, very simple. They're the same exact thing as adding. The only difference is you're not adding, you're subtracting, which makes things a little bit more difficult, so we got to make sure that we're careful on this. All right, so line the decimals up vertically, use zeros as placeholders, and then finally subtract. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to get rid of these things that keep popping up in the way. All right, so example number 1, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have 9 and 21 hundredths minus 0 and 282 thousandths. We're going to go ahead and start by lining up our decimals, and we're going to go ahead and subtract 282 thousandths. We're going to add a 0 as a placeholder, which we'll just go ahead and do right there. 0 minus 2. Now, this is where it's different. Remember, you have 0. You cannot take away 2, so you need to borrow from the 1. The 1 is going to become a 0. The 0 is going to become a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. 0 minus 8 you cannot do, so you're going to borrow from the 2 and it becomes a 1. The 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 1 minus 2 you cannot do, so you borrow from the 9. Okay. The 1 becomes an 11. 11 minus 2 is 9. Okay. 8 minus 0 is 8. Your answer should be 8 and 928 thousandths. Now, I know a lot of people keep telling me that when they borrow, they're going all the way to the end. Okay, you got to be careful. You got to go just to your next neighbor, okay, just to the one next door. Now, these are the ones that are really difficult. These are the ones that for some reason my students forget. Remember, when we subtract, the first number always goes first, right? So the first one's going to be on top. So 5. Now, decimal is not in sight, so it must be on the right. So we're going to go ahead and put our decimal in there next to it. We're going to subtract 2 and 347 thousandths. I need to go ahead and fill in my missing values with 0. Put one above. Now, 0 minus 7. Now, you cannot do 0 minus 7, so you would actually go to the next 0. But there's nothing there either, so you'd go to the next 0, and there's nothing there, so finally you'd go to the 5. Now, the 5 is going to become a 4. But now we have to go back when we're starting our things here. So instead of 0, it's 10, but we're going to borrow from that one, and it's going to be a 9. This one would be a 10, but we're going to borrow from that one, and it's a 9. And finally, this one is a 10. So you got to be very careful on how you do that. If you need help, let us know. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 minus 3 is 6. Bring down our decimal point. 4 minus 2 is 2. Our answer is 2 and 653 thousandths. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to example number 3. We have 28 and 4 tenths. Minus 2 and 43 hundredths. Remember, use zeros as placeholders, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so 0 and 0. 0 minus 3 we cannot do, so we borrow from the 4. 4 becomes a 3. The 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 3 minus 4 you cannot do, so we borrow from the 8. The 8 becomes a 7. 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. Bring down our decimal point. 7 minus 2 is 5. 2 minus 0 is 2. Our answer is 25 and 97 hundredths. Congratulations. Last one. All right. 81 and 3 tenths. Make sure you understand what you're doing because this is your last chance. We have 81 and 3 tenths. We're going to subtract 0 and 507 thousandths. Use our zeros as placeholders. 0 minus 7 I can't do. I can't borrow from the 0 because there's nothing there. So I have to go to this 3. The 3 becomes a 2. This 0 would become a 10, but we're going to borrow from it and make it a 9, and this one would be a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 0 is 9. 2 minus 5 can't do. Borrow from it. That one becomes a 0. This one becomes a 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. 0 minus 0 is 0, and 8 minus 0 is 8. Congratulations. Our answer is 80 and 793 thousandths. I know I went quick. All right, you guys, you need to do these 4. Pause the video, do these 4. Check and make sure you get them right before we move on. Do it now. I'll be back in just a second to go through them. All right, I'm back. Here we go. I'm going to go quick. 34 decimal. Decimal's on the side. It's on the right. 26. fill in with zeros. Got to borrow from this. 10. And that's what you should have had so far. 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 3 is 0. And 3 minus 0 is 3. You should have 30 and 74 hundredths. Let's move on to the one to the right. We have 45 and 7 tenths. Minus 4 and 53 hundredths. Put our 0 up there at the top. Put our 0 down here. 0 minus 3 we can't do, but we can borrow. 7 becomes a 6, 0 becomes a 10, 10 minus 3 is 7, 6 minus 5 is 1, 5 minus 4 is 1, 4 minus 0 is 4. I know I go quick, but I know my math. I want you guys to do the same thing. 6 and 21 hundredths minus 2 and 46 hundredths. 1 minus 6 cannot do. Borrow from the 2, it becomes a 1, the 1 becomes an 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. 1 minus 4 you can't do. Borrow from the 6 becomes a 5. 1 becomes a 1. 11 minus 4 is 7. Decimal and 3. 3 and 75 hundredths. Next one. 27 and 4 hundredths minus 0 and 22,345 10 thousandths. Fill in our missing values with zeros. Here we go. 0 minus 5 can't do. 0, got to borrow from the 0, but there's nothing there. So I got to borrow from the next one. It should have been a 4, becomes a 3. This one becomes a 10, which becomes a 9 because we borrowed from it. And this one is a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 4 is 5. 3 minus 3 is 0. 0 minus 2 can't do. Borrow from the 7. Borrow from the 7 becomes a 6. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. 6 minus 0 is 6. 2 minus 0 is 2. And we should have 26 and 8,055 10 thousandths as our answer. Ladies and gentlemen, those are your 4 for your independent task. At this time, you need to complete the exit ticket, which is these 4 questions. That's all you need to do. We've got 4 of them. Pretty awesome. Okay, pause the video, finish these 4. When you're done, show them to Mr. Williams, turn in your graphic organizer after that, start working on your worksheet. You should be working on worksheet number 3. Have a great day. See you later.